Hi, everyone. If anyone's there, feel free to give a like, say hello, stick your hands up, ask a question. Jazz is coming back in a second, but let us know you're there. Anyone there?
Sorry, I just had to get rid of my husband. He's talking way too loud in the background.
Is he working from home?
No, he's just chatting to his mate in the backyard.
Oh,
Yeah, so
fair enough.
it is what it is.
It is.
Like, go away. Go inside. He's like, oh, whatever. Anyway. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm just going to open it up on my phone as well, but on mute. So if I can, so I can see the comments too. Because I can't see it on the screen that I've got.
Ah, I see. It's a little delayed as well, so I guess we just got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's why I put it on mute, so that because it's a bit of an echo delay. But now I can see it, so I know if anyone's asking questions rather than just look at myself on the screen, which is always weird.
Hi, if you hear thumbs up, give us a little like or a comment, because at the moment it looks like there's a few there, but can't see an awful lot. So
it's weird because we don't know who's there. We just see a number. So a number and a picture of an eyeball. So I like knowing who's there so I can say hello to you.
The old eyeball picture.
The old eyeball picture. Friday afternoon, though, everyone's probably wishing they could go to the pub, but we can't.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, I've got a coffee as well. It's my little Miss Stubborn. Not that I should label myself.
I got my girlfriend a little sunshine one for when she comes to our house. She loves it. So
yeah, love the little miss.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Got a lot of them. So how's your week been? You've started puppy school, which is very exciting.
That has been really exciting. It's been heaps of fun. So I had 5 puppies on Tuesday and I had 4 last night and I got 4 tomorrow as well. So
lots of puppies.
Lots of puppies out there. Dropped off some harnesses and some treats and stuff today to some of the puppy school puppies. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just been chugging along. I actually just got an order. So Ernie's been got some.
Oh, they love it.
And some of these wubbers. I love these for teething and stuff. So
yeah, the wubbers are good, really good material. My guys love it when a box gets delivered because the large majority of the time it is for them. That's my online shopping thing. Yeah, I like
these from when she was puppy. Yeah, and they do. They just love it. They really do. Here we go. That's better.
And I like they've got like some knitted ones now as well, and some more waterproofy ones.
You tried this yet?
Funny you say that. I got it delivered last week. I've got the large. Is that the large?
This is small, but I've got the large one as well.
Yeah, I got the large one. My guys love it.
Cool. I thought they would because it like is back, right?
Yeah, it's kind of got this weird weighted section in the middle that kind of makes it stay. It's kind of similar to the what am I trying to think of? Kind of a similar action to the wobbler, I guess. But you've disappeared now, so I'll just talk to myself for a little bit. But no, that toy is really good. I'm trying to get to the point. You disappeared, but you came back. Yeah, I was just saying, I'm trying to get to the point where I've got every Kong enrichment toy made. My collection, it's getting massive. But no, I really like that one. Easy to fill because it's got the side thing, so you don't have to like plug the holes with your thumbs while you're filling the other hole. That's my pet hate. Like if you've got to invert thumb and hold it, so that's useful. But no, it moves really well. But I think I'm going to have to get larger ones because my dogs have got an ability to get them wedged under every piece of furniture in the house. So under the couch, and then they can't get it out. So
one of these as well to try them out because they look like fun.
I've got that one.
Oh, yeah, I haven't even opened the boxes actually. I literally just pulled them apart. So there's some little tug toys for the puppies.
Yep, that's a good one. Ernie interested.
We're not allowed to eat that one. Anyways, we weren't going to talk about puppy toys. We kind of got distracted there for a second. But I've got a question there. I'll just click that one up. and I'll just go through a couple of things. So it says,
Philippa.
more about hyperarousal and tugging at the lead when walking. Good question. Intermittently and out of the blue. Once per walk, also emergency U-turns. Slowly, constantly turning back to try and look at the dog. She is distracted by what to do then. So
this is what yeah. But happy for you to, because I was talking to Philippa during the week about Lolly's behaviour and some of this stuff. So I'd said to jump on and we can have a chat about it, because I'm actually getting a lot of questions around this issue, this biting the lead, when dogs get really worked up. And I guess there's a few things there. One is that they're getting hyper aroused to begin with, so we want to address why they're getting to that point. And then secondly, when they are, other strategies to help them come down again rather than the biting the lead. So, and then the emergency U-turns is another one, constantly turning back to try and look at the dog they're distracted by. So when I do emergency U-turns, I will train them really strongly if I'm doing a right about turn at home, so that it's a really strong behaviour and they're anticipating reinforcement moving forward. So they sort of turn and go yes or do a find it on the ground when they feel pressure in the lead, but also maybe doing your emergency turn like an about turn, turning into them, so that you do block that scanning of the horizon when you turn around, because they will kind of look back. The other thing is maybe using a visual barrier, like get behind a car or something so that they can't keep looking at the trigger, because if their back's turned to something they're uncomfortable with, then they will keep looking back to go, well, this thing's behind me and I'm not comfortable with this. So there's a few things there. But yeah, did you want to comment about sort of the hyper arousal stuff?
Yeah, look, I actually just spoke to someone about it today. She rescued a 2-year-old Staffy, and
this is a Staffy as well.
Okay, so different names, so it's different people, obviously. But obviously something that's quite common, I find in Staffies, they get so like very vocal, and then they start tugging on their lead because they're frustrated. And I've actually, I walk a dog 4 days a week that does exactly, well, did do exactly this. And I ended up taking him out with Ernie, and he walks alongside him now. And he actually, I got a video a little while back of him watching another dog from a distance, and you can see his body language just change. And I was at a distance where I knew that he wasn't going to fail. So if you're too close, then he fails, and he does that. He starts screaming, and then he bites the lead, and then he jumps all over you and like just gets so like, ah! And you just eat on the face, and his ears are way forward, and you know, he pulls his body forward. So it's about working out your critical distance, I think, a lot of the time, and working out where that threshold is before the tugging and then the screaming starts. So with the emergency U-turns, this is like when I do the emergency turns, I practice it loads when there's no distraction. So even though you want it to be when there's something up and coming, you don't necessarily want the dog to see it. You might want them to hear it, or maybe at the distance that you know the dog can cope. That's when you'd perform your emergency turn. So when I do my emergency turn, I usually do it the same way, so it's really consistent for the dog, because dogs tend to be able to turn quicker one way than the other, just like the spin.
Yeah.
So I work out which way the dogs prefer, and turn it into a really, really fun game. But the treat that I lure them in with goes right between my legs. The nose is like right in there, and it also creates some form of visual barrier there as well. So yeah, the emergency turns really, really quick, fast. You're moving backwards in between your legs, and then you turn and you put the dog into a heel. So then they're following you on, and then they don't get distracted by the other dog. Basically, if you've got a dog with reactivity issues, you've got to be on it. You've got to be like, you can't go for a walk and check your Facebook, or, you know, talk to someone on the phone. You've got to be watching that dog and watching what he's doing. So usually the reactivity isn't out of the blue as such. He may have smelled a cat. There may have been some poo or a wee that sort of set him off that there's another dog around or nearby, or male, female, whatever it is that he particularly is interested in. But the leash tugging as well, obviously I wouldn't be practicing tug of war with your game, with a tug of war game with your dog. I wouldn't be encouraging that behaviour because it obviously feels good for him. And it's more frustration than anything. So, yeah, look, it's the depends on the severity of as well, Laura. Like, don't you agree? The severity of the hyperarousal depends on what your management strategy is going to be.
Yeah.
So if you were living in a place where there's loads of people with dogs in front yards, like say Kingsville or Yarraville, where there's loads of people that walk their dogs all hours of the day, I probably wouldn't choose those as spots to be walking him. I'd probably be choosing spots for the maybe industrial, where there's no other dogs who, walking around or roaming, or, putting you in a position where, your dog might get upset or something could happen.
Mm. And small durations as well. I tend to find that arousal will build up. You'll get that trigger stacking. So shorter walks are better. I literally just had this happen. I was saying to Jasmine before coming on here, I just had a loose dog when I was out on a walk with Benny, and he does not like seeing dogs that act like they want to pick a fight. That sort of stare, that prolonged stare, being territorial, things like that. So, and this dog was staring at him, and I knew that, that was going to set him off for the rest of the walk, that he was quite heightened then. So I knew that had kicked his arousal up. But sometimes you get in those situations, this dog was close, it was just on the other side of the street, it was staring at him, all of these factors that I knew he wasn't going to succeed at. So it just becomes that you're trying to use all of these strategies that you've done in training, tried my emergency U-turn, tried to come, tried getting look, he'd stop taking food. So I'm kind of going through all of these things that I know that he's got in his toolbox of behaviours. Pardon?
Yeah. Process of elimination, working out at what point
what can he do? Yeah, what that he's fluent in is going to be something he can succeed in at this point. Food he couldn't take, it was over threshold. So I ended up just body blocking, U-turning and getting behind a car until these owners got their dog in off the street, because it was anything to try and prevent him reacting at that point. And he's not a particularly reactive dog. He just will want to stare at dogs that stare back at him, and he starts whimpering and vocalizing a little bit. But I don't want him rehearsing that, because then what is that going to turn to? I'm wanting him to learn to ignore provocation and look at me, but he's struggling with that. So I'm still trying to build up that threshold or that critical distance that he can tolerate and do another behavior with. But there are times where the environment doesn't play ball with you. So that's where the more strategies you've got, the better, because sometimes when it hits the fan, you're just going to be trying to use any behaviors that you've got in your toolbox. So the more you've got, the better. But there will be times where it doesn't go to plan, and that's where you just need to use visual barriers, turn and go, hightail it out of there and just go, okay, that wasn't great. Let's go somewhere quiet. And I took him up to a park and just did a sniffy, just did a scatter feed, just try to bring that arousal down so that he was going to do better for the rest of the walk, rather than, doing too much else with him. So I guess there's no one size fits all. You're going to go, okay, stuff's going to happen. Use all of the strategies we've got. If that's not working, use management, use a physical barrier, give them some time to decompress, and then try again at a greater distance and go back into training if you can. But if your dog's screaming and biting the lead, we know we're past the learning point. I mean, they've just lost the plot.
Yeah, you just got to get them out of there, keep them safe.
Yeah, because it's not training anymore. That's just management. And your training is when you can succeed and your dog is learning new behaviours. So, and it's something I get asked a lot. Well, what do I do when this has happened? It's already happened. Your dog's not training anymore. You're in management mode at that point. So whatever you can do to minimise damage is really the answer.
Yeah. And like you were saying before about the dogs off lead when they're obviously not supposed to be, really frustrating. And I think some of the time reactive dogs especially will remember that, and they will go straight back to the spot the next time you go. So next time you take Benny for a walk down the street, you'll be like, where's that dog again? Like, they don't forget. They're not silly. No.
So I know when I go down that street again that I'm going to have to be in training mode, probably 40 yards down the road, cross the road, do watch me, have a lot of food, The other thing is I'd taken Lil with me and I had a poo bag in my hand. So, I had 2 dogs, I had a poo bag. So I know next time I walk past that house, I'm not taking Lil, I'm just taking Benny. I've got a hand free. I'm going to warm him up first. So it's about setting us both up for success as well.
I just hope that the dog's not out again.
Yes, I know. If I see those, it's an elderly couple that garden out the front. They let their dog out on out the front while they garden, and it's a little reactive, like a Jack Russell Foxy mix that goes and charges at anything, and they just don't do anything about it. So,
I think they realise. Next up, Laura. I think this is one of yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a doggy friend, 4-year-old rescue Ridgeback Wolfhound, big dog, and her parents can't figure out what motivates her. She's not restricted on food or affection or toys. She gets quite nervous outside. Any tips or anything else to test motivation or increase motivation for something like food or praise? How long have they had it for? How long have they had the dog?
Yeah. I mean, there could be quite a lot going on there. 4-year-old, there's a lot of history there that you don't necessarily know. If she's quite nervous outside, then you're probably seeing that she's not taking food, affection or toys outside because she's too nervous.
But is it inside that she's not super huge on food? It doesn't say where, but she gets nervous outside, so they know that. So whether she's a dog anyway and just hasn't got that trust yet. So I just go right back to basics if it is nervous behaviours, is I wouldn't obviously put her in a position where she feels nervous or feels like she has to fly. So they've had it for a few years. 4-year-old is another developmental phase as well. So the dog could be going through social maturation, which is when they can develop some more issues with nervousness.
They start expressing it more, don't they? Hit adulthood and they go, I'm going to say what I really think here because I'm an adult now, and they're more.
I'm not a teenager anymore. We all know what that feels like. So I would go back to. I'm trying to work out which way I set kind of off to the side. I'd probably go back to hand feeding. Would you not?
Yeah, hand feed. Yeah. And I'd probably I'd be interested in physical health as well. I would probably want a full health check and rule out whether there's any pain. They're both large breeds, and those breeds can tend to be prone to gut issues and things like that too. I'd want to know what diet are they on, what are they eating, what are their stools like, are there any pain measures. Because a dog that's not really wanting to take food, not liking touch, not liking play, and they've had them for over 3 years, I probably want to rule out health stuff first. But then, and not train them, like just get them used to working around the house, just playing a lot of food-based games, catch, find it, enrichment, so getting them thinking for their food, so using a lot of food-based puzzle toys for resilience and confidence and self-esteem, getting them to think about working for food and offering behaviour for food that doesn't necessarily involve another human. Some of these dogs just need a little bit of help in building some confidence, and I think the more we try and train them, the more they hate training because we're asking too much of them when they can't do it. So if we're like, come, sit, puppy, look at me, do this, and they're just like, I hate training because it's just so much pressure, and then this food is getting shoved in my face, like it, eat this, play with this toy, and it actually starts poisoning the process of training and play.
I'd go to some kind of, just basic stuff. So just 2 minutes a day, puppy, as soon as whatever the dog's name is, dog's name, food. So then associating every time they hear their name, not with a negative or, frustration, it turns into whatever the dog's name is and something could happen. So changes the emotional connection with the name as well. So
yeah, pure classical conditioning with the cues as well. So it's like, what do they associate with the cue? Stress or reinforcement and positive experiences? So yeah, just name, feed around the house. Enrichment toys. Just get this dog's confidence up.
Yeah. But if she's not really interested in toys, what does she do all day? Does she just sit on her bed, or if a dog is just sleeping all day and it's 4 years old, I would probably get a vet checked. It's not normal. If it was a puppy and it was sleeping all day, it's totally normal. If it was a 10, 12-year-old dog and it was sleeping most of the day, absolutely normal. But middle-aged dog, it is a large breed as well, so they're not hugely energetic.
And you're right, just observe your dog, because they're going to do behaviours that they find reinforcing. So sometimes if you just observe what your dog naturally does, you can get a good indication of what they naturally find reinforcing. Are they digging? Are they foraging and scenting? Are they tugging? Are they chewing and shredding? What kind of behaviours do they do? And then you can start giving them some enrichment or use that as a reinforcer for behaviours, because it's behaviours they obviously naturally find reinforcing. So I do vet check, gut health, enrichment, and trainer.
Hi, Adam. How are you? Sorry, Laura, to cut you off.
No, you're right.
Get into the vet, get a trainer in. Yeah. Get them to figure out what's going on. This looks like a golden retriever thing. It happens to a lot of goldies, actually. 2.5 years. Seems okay, no. And I'll read it out. Golden retriever, 2.5 years old, stops walking and won't move. Have tried to turn around when walking in a circle to get him going. He is getting better but still stubborn. Seems no injuries and the vet's okayed him, but has been happening since lockdown. Could it be he's just dying to see friends and play? So he just lays down and won't move. Do you usually walk him on the lead, or do you walk him off the lead normally? Because he used to being on the lead. Seems a little...
I'm assuming so at 2.5 years. I guess it could be that there is less. Yeah, he's not enjoying his walk as much because he's associating with the lead and not getting to have play. When dogs freeze and lay down, I tend to think stress typically, because they're not wanting to go somewhere. So what are they trying to avoid? Or some can learn that it makes you get food out or you do something. So I always say step back and observe yourself and what you immediately do after they freeze. Some owners will go, come on, get a treat out and put it in front of their nose. So then they learn freezing makes you get food out to bribe them out of position. The dog's not stupid. They'll go, I'll lie down and freeze. So make sure you're not pulling food out and bribing them. Teaching a give in to leash pressure is good as well. So just a slight little, the other thing that dogs will do, I'm just reading onto the comments that Adam's posted saying he's on a halty and he'll be walking normally and then completely stops. Could be that he's gone past. So the halty's really quite aversive. Like it's really, I mean, I'm not completely against them, but it does shut down behavior a lot more. So you could go a patch where he's like, I've ignored sniffing that, I've ignored sniffing that, I've ignored sniffing that because this is on my nose. And then he's eventually gone, stuff this, lay down, because he might want to just sniff and have a bit of a break and take in the environment. And then he might have learnt that you stop walking and come back to him and he's like, great, I get a break from this frustration of being restricted.
Yeah, Adam, I'd probably suggest just getting him a normal back attached harness or front attached harness, doesn't matter, and just do some sniff walks with him. Let it be his walk and about him rather than you actually going for your exercise. Just take him out for half an hour and then take yourselves out and do your own walk, like on your own without the dog. So then he's able to do what he needs to do and observe the environment. Because dogs learn through smell, so they smell everything that's going on around them through sniffing, obviously. So they don't, leave each other notes. Well, they do, technically. They leave each other pee notes and poop, anal gland notes. So it's kind of like him, checking his social media by having a sniff. If he's not sniffing, then he's not observing the environment. So maybe he's laying down for you to stop so he can have a quick little sniff of whatever area it is that he wants to have a sniff of without actually going and sniffing out. He can still sort of sniff around.
Yeah, he sounds like he wants a break. And dogs will freeze as a way of taking a break. Some will pretend they're thirsty and have a bit of a drink. Some will stop and sniff as a way of taking a break. And I tend to find dogs that have just walked on a shorter lead on a halty, they're kind of inhibiting their natural drive to want to take in the environment and explore for a really long period of time. And then they eventually just get frustrated and lay down. And it is like another stress response, is fight, flight, freeze kind of. They just lay there and go, you know what, I'm done. I'm getting annoyed now. I want to sniff. I want to do something else.
Well, I actually was walking a dog. I've walked him for about 5 to 6 years. I think he's 7 now. 9 6 years a puppy. He did one of my very first puppy schools. And he's a Aussie Bulldog, but he's 35 kilos. He's a big boy. And he, if his mum's listening, sorry, Amy.
You can only say nice things about him then if they're listening.
I love him. I love him dearly. But he's a rat bag, and got to the point where we actually only had to put him in the car to take him for a walk so we could trick him to get him back in the car to get him home. Because if we walked on the street, he would literally lay down, not move until you got the car and went and drove him home. And that was literally the only way you could get him home, because I can't carry 35 kilos of dog home. So, yeah, we actually put it on hold for a little bit, the walking of that particular dog, because he was seemed like he didn't want to go home. And I don't know whether he didn't want to go home because his mum wasn't home and, like, he was going to be alone again. He just want to stay out with us. I don't know. I wish they could just tell you. But he also, many years ago, got bitten in the backyard by a snake. So I don't know if he was just a little afraid of something that was there, or maybe someone's tormenting him, but he just doesn't want to go home. So, you know, it's his way of communicating. So a harness that I recommend if they pull. Look, there's a few different harnesses on the market. Laura, the one that you were recommending that has the front and the back but goes underneath, like the arms quite wide, what one's that? What brand is that?
I mean, there's a few Y-shaped ones that I recommend. The T-Touch one is good. The Blue 9 harness is good. I'm going to buy the Dog Copenhagen one. I'm going to have a go at trying that, just so that there's less obstruction over the shoulders. But a lot of Goldies do use the, like, your Gentle Leader and Black Dog ones. I've had a few that have got some rubbing sort of in behind their armpits, but the Goldie's got quite a long coat. But
I'll just quickly show you, Adam. I've got
the other thing, Adam, I was going to mention as well, because like with laying down and freezing, it's that they're trying to access something or trying to avoid something. So like Jazz, you were saying then, this one's trying to avoid going home. Some of them are trying to access getting to other things. So sort of watch the body language. If they're quite shut down and stressed, then it could be that they're trying to avoid getting to something. But if their body's sort of trying to pull off to the side or a little bit, like they might be trying to get through something. So it's good to analyse that too. But the more they practice it, the better they get at it. So you want to prevent it. So shorter walks with lots of reinforcement for moving and not freezing. So every few steps, if they keep going, yes, and feed. Do lots of find it, lots of sniffing and a front attach harness. And I reckon that will fix this issue. But the issue is you need to find equipment that works and train a loose lead walk rather than trying to use more and more equipment that's shutting him down, because he's getting frustrated. And I think that's why he's freezing. So
look, harness isn't going to stop your dog pulling. You need to train it.
No, training is.
So these are the Black Dog ones that I sell. So they attach at the front and also at the back. So you have a double-ended lead with them. But they don't swivel like the Gentle Leader one does. But I love these. I think they're a great product. And for an adult dog, they're perfect. They so they attach at the front. So when the dog pulls, it kind of moves them back around towards you. But you don't, like, it's not going to stop your dog from pulling. You need to teach your dog how to heel. You can't just put a harness on it and think it's going to stop your dog from pulling. The whole idea of wearing a harness is to stop the pressure on their neck and their spine. So taking that pressure off them if they were to lunge forward, and obviously to take the pressure off your shoulder, because the last thing you need is to do yourself an injury with a dog that pulls. So,
and that's what bugs.
Sorry?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's what bugs me about the marketing with a lot of this equipment. It's like, stop your dog pulling in seconds with this piece of equipment. And it's like, but
that stops dogs pulling. And
I mean, it's not this equipment that's magically programmed to erase all learning history in your dog's brain that pulling works. You know, you need to train it. Michelle just commented that she loves the Rogs one that I recommended. Rogs have just released a Y-shaped front attach that I found on their website, and I like the quality of the Rogs material. So yeah, that could be a good option. But again, yeah, like we're saying, you got to train it. Nice loose lead. Don't hold a lead up really tight. If it becomes tight, stop. Reinforce them for a loose lead really heavily. Make a bubble of reinforcement next to you. So every time they're next to you, yes, and feed. Every time they look at you, yes, and feed. If they pull ahead and the lead is tight, stop, take a little step back, encourage them back in, yes, and feed for a nice loose lead again. But the problem with pulling on lead is that owners will tend to gather the lead in tight because they want to stop it. but what it's doing is just desensitizing your dog to leash pressure, and the equipment is just reducing the pressure that you're feeling because it's putting pressure on a dog in a sensitive area, so they're less likely to pull, but they're still pulling in the lead. They're still a tight lead. It's just less intense.
And with the correction chain, like I find some people don't understand, like their dog will pull on a chain till they like, you know, are choking themselves, right? But it doesn't actually teach them not to pull. So the theory behind a check chain is that they are supposed to yank the crap out of the dog to stop them from doing it. But if you don't use that equipment the way it's designed to be used, or you don't know how to use it, not that I've ever used one, but if your dog is just pulling on it, they'll learn to pull on it. It's not going to learn that equals an adverse reaction each time if you're not prepared to train it on that particular piece of equipment. So I don't recommend having a dog that pulls on a collar, because I've seen a dog's trachea collapse and also spinal damage done because it pulled so damn hard on this collar, not even check chain. So at the end of the day, what damage is a check chain doing versus a collar, you know?
I've seen a lot of dogs with worn off fur and things like that, or coming in coughing. Yeah. And it's right. It's whatever equipment. You've got to use the equipment properly. And I mean, everyone knows I don't know whether they do. I used to be a balance trainer many, many, many years ago. So I used a correction chain a lot in training. And it got the nickname choke collar because people just letting them choke themselves in it, but it's not how it was actually meant to be used. So any equipment can do damage if it's not used properly. Even head halters, I've seen indentations in the nose. I've had tear duct damage where dogs have got really bad eye damage from the halter going into their eye. Harnesses that have rubbed fur and skin, and
I actually, I had a client who's still my client, and they had a head halter on their dog many years ago, and it worked really well. But then I was like, you know what, she's getting older. Maybe we'll try the balance. And I popped the balance on her. She'd learned to pull on that head halter. So she didn't mind putting it on. Like, she'd shove her face into it and put it on. But whenever it was on, she'd try and rub it off. So I popped her in a balance, and she was just like a different dog. So it's like she was frustrated with this equipment that was on her face because it doesn't allow them to sniff around as much. But I've unfortunately seen some people attach a long lead to a head halter, and I just
you're going to break their neck.
Yeah, you're going to break their neck.
But the head halter will shut them down. And I think that tends to get misconstrued as the dog being calm or the dog walking nicely, but no, it's just inhibiting their behaviour underneath it. But you need to transition back to, you should be able to walk your dog on a flat collar. Yeah. Really, if your dog's not pulling, it shouldn't matter what they're on.
No. What's this one here? Can you briefly talk about age and development stages? When does adolescent become an adult, and what are the associated behaviours, and at what range do dogs settle? I love that. What age do they settle, Ellie? Franklin over there?
Depends what breed they are. I've heard that Portuguese water dogs settle when they're 10. And even then it's very mildly. So boxers I don't think ever settle. Depends how you describe settle. My friend Staffy Coop, who I use a lot, he's my favourite stooge dog. He just seems to have switched recently from I'm just going to be a buffhead and jump all over your head and play with anyone to, oh, hang on, maybe I'm going to step back and think about this and see, maybe you're not comfortable. I'm going to offer calming signals rather than just bulldoze in your face. So he's kind of a bit coming of age and a bit of maturity then, but he's just turned 4, I think. And that's kind of when he started doing that. But he's still a bullhead. He's still a staffy. I wouldn't say he's settled, but he's got some more adult type behaviours coming in now.
Mm. So basically you've got newborn stage, which is neonatal, which is up until about 3 weeks. And then you've got your socialization period, which is from 3 to about 16 weeks. So the 3 to 16 weeks is really critical for learning. That's why it's called the socialization period. And that is when, my friends, your puppy learns the most important things of their life. Hence why you usually get your puppies between 8 and 12 weeks. So if your puppy learns at between 8 and 13 weeks or thereabouts that big dogs squish them, chances are that your dog's going to be scared of big dogs when they're older. Or if, cars go really fast past them and gives them a fright, they might be scared of cars. So anything that your dog sort of picks up during that stage, it could be even barking at things or, barking at the door or whatever it is. It starts at a young age, it's going to continue to do it. It's something they learn and that becomes ingrained. They're kind of like, that's this spongy phase. So it's a bit like where my daughter is at the moment. So when they're babies all the way through till they're about 4, I don't really even know. I haven't even investigated that part of my children.
You know the dog's socialization period, but human infants.
The kids are roughly around the same. Like, she's toilet training at the moment. She's nearly 2. She'll be 2 in a couple of months. So, and yeah, she's like a sponge. Like, she's picking up words left, right, and center. And it just reminds me of that puppy phase where you show them something and then they try and do it over and over again because they're so excited about learning it. So yeah, puppy phase between those times is so important for development and learning new things. So from about that, it's around 16 weeks to about 12 months. There's sort of like a adolescent or pre-adolescent, I'd say, and then you've got your 12 months to 18 months, which is like your teenage, your horrible years, the years where they like put their foot down and they say, hang on, Mum, I'm not going to do that. What are you going to give me? They might try different behaviours. They might pick up something else from somebody else. Or it could be another bit of wiring in their brain that changes as well. And then again, around the 2-year and 4-year. So every dog's different, though. It's not actually a set time that dogs learn these things. It's, different for everyone. It's different for adults as well. But I think the most important phase is that puppy phase, and a lot of people don't realise that time frame is really important. And unfortunately, puppies aren't fully vaccinated until they are 16 weeks or thereabouts, 16 to 18 weeks. And people don't take their puppies out and about because they're worried about the risk of parvo and all of the viruses and things. So, but from a trainer's perspective, take your puppy everywhere and see everything. I don't mean take them to the dog park, and I don't mean, walk them on the grass and all those silly things, but take them places that you can take them so that they learn how to be in our world with us. Really, really important that people are educated about that. There are still some vets out there that recommend not even taking your dog outdoors, which is really hard to hear because it's so important that they do get outside and they, hear the birds, the planes and the cars and the buses and see other people and other dogs and just put that into their little brains. So, and like I said, with settling down, Ernie settled down around 2.5. And he still has his zoomy phases, like he still does go a little cray-cray every now and then, which is completely normal. And Ellie, I think she was about 8. She was a zoomy girl for how many years? It might have been 6, I think I was lying, but I don't know if you can see her. She's just down there in the bed having a little rest because she's
the breed definitely impacts things, but I think generic sort of ballparks, Philippa, where you're sort of looking at that adolescence would start around 6 months of age, when you're sort of thinking of them less as puppies and more of an adolescent. And then they sort of say around 18 months to 2 years of age that they start becoming more of an adult, but it's probably more around 3, I think, that they start to settle down. So between 2 to 3 years of age, I think would be that ballpark time when you start seeing your dog becoming an adult. Strangely enough, it's also the time that all of my aggression cases present to me because they've become an adult. So your dogs that have gotten away with being a puppy and a teenager, the social goofball and a little bit in your face, but then once they become 2 to 3 is when they actually start asserting themselves more confidently. So that's when I know that that's kind of when dogs are becoming adults, because that's when you see that shift from your adolescent to adult type behavior, your more assertive guarding behavior and territorial behavior and a more proactive aggressive kind of behavior starts happening. So I think between 2 to 3.
Cool. Next. Hi, Christine. Christine actually reached out to me a couple of weeks ago about her poodle. She's having trouble grooming the poodle. She tends to pull away out of her hand. And she was asking about how to condition her dog to being handled, which is a really great question, especially, well, luckily now groomers are actually reopening, but she had always groomed her own dogs. So I suggested that maybe the clippers got too hot once and it kind of freaked her out. So we've got to go back and redo that because, obviously that would have scared any dog that had clippers around the face. But I'll just quickly show you Miss Ali. Sorry, I'm going to wake you up. Oh. Hello.
She's so cute.
She is a bit cute. Oh. So,
hey, Ali.
Hi, my name's Ali. I just woke up.
Hey, beautiful girl.
Put some light there for you. So teaching chin is super handy as well for grooming. So teaching a dog to voluntarily place their chin on your hand. So then it's their choice to put it there as well. And then you want to get them used to being held under here as well. So then they're not associating that with a negative. So most groomers will grab and hold underneath the dog. So that's a really important hold to learn, especially if you're doing face grooming. And if there are any groomers on here, feel free to make a comment because I know that there are groomers that do follow us. So grabbing under the chin, and then obviously it's a bit of a two-man job, especially if your dog's not particularly happy. For somebody to hold and obviously reinforce as well, giving treats something that she really, really enjoys, and not doing anything. So just getting her used to the hold, giving treats at the same time, and then obviously getting one snip in there or one little bit of the blades. She was saying that the noise didn't really bother her as much, like it didn't actually bother her.
What about scissoring? Are there any issues with scissoring or just the clippers?
It's just the clippers.
Okay.
No, there were issues with the scissoring as well. Anything to do with the face, she pulls away. So, I mean, Ali doesn't like her face being touched and held.
They don't love it.
It's not natural. It's not a normal thing for them to have done to them. But the more that you handle them and get used to it. So I actually scissored Ali last week and she just stood there and looked at me like, oh my God, you're going to stuff this up, Mum. I didn't think I did too bad.
She looks good. I did Bennett yesterday, actually. But I think Benny was super sensitive to grooming. When I got him, he was really, really uncomfortable with a lot of handling stuff. I did a video and posted on my page a little while ago how I did a voluntary chin. Like that was his start button. So if he put his chin in my hand, that's when I knew I had permission to start scissoring around his face or clippering. And then if he moved his head away, then he needed a break. And he also has a particular bed that is his grooming station. So I use a trampoline bed outside and he can get on and off that at all times as well. So having those start button sort of options for him is really good. But I do a little, I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to get the groom done. So I'll do a bit of a chin hold with the fur that I know that the groomers do and clip around the face. Trim around the eyes, yes, give him a treat. Clip around, yes, give him a treat. I've gotten him with the hot blades a little bit lately as well. I realised how hot they were getting. I'm no groomer, so something else that I learned wasn't something to pay attention to. But, yeah, and the other thing, if it's vibrations, you actually get an app on your phone now that makes your phone, like, vibrate and make the sound of clippers. And you can, like, use that as pretend clippers around them as well to get them used to that. So... But scissoring is usually less intense than the clippers.
I suppose if she's been doing it for a few years, then she'd, know not to hold it into their face as well. But yeah, there is. So this app here, Sunproof Puppy. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's actually vibrating as well.
It is vibrating as well. Yeah.
So this that was really loud. Sorry, Ellie. She wasn't freaking out, but what you do is you put that on at a really, really low volume, and then you just condition your dog to that, and then you can use your phone to get them used to the vibrations as well. So you start on a low volume, and then you gradually increase the volume and the intensity of the volume and the vibrations. So
you just need to slow things down. Like even with Benny with the scissors, I might have his hand in my chin, look at the scissors, and if he doesn't move away, I mark and reinforce. What I'm basically reinforcing is the absence of moving away, the remaining in position. If he moves away, that's a marker to me that I've gone too far. So I just, as long as he stays there, I'll mark and reinforce, and then I just scalpel down those approximations to actually trimming the face. So a little bit closer, I'll touch his nose with the scissors, yes and feed, touch it, yes and feed. And until I do one clip, yes and feed, two clips, yes and feed, do the whole face, and that's your end goal. But have your training plan more, with smaller approximations, I guess.
Don't just try it like, yes, they probably need a haircut, but you need to do a little bit more conditioning beforehand. Carly says hi. We missed that one before.
Hi,
we learned chin training last week to encourage the dog to place his chin and no cup hand. Yeah, so chin's a really good one to learn for grooming, especially, and also to ask for permission to be petted or touched or like that. What's the best way to deal with walking past barking dogs and aggressive dogs behind fences when walking a reactive dog? I just hold on tight and keep moving, but is there a better way to handle it? Cross the road is the first one. Create some distance. All right, Laurie, you can do this one.
Walking past barking dogs behind fences. Look, I know the houses near me that have the fences that have the dogs that don't like dogs walking past their fences. And I will avoid those houses or cross the road. And then my goal is to gradually be able to walk past and have my dog look at me and feel okay about those dogs barking and lunging. But I kind of liken it to, if you went past through some haunted house or something and people are jumping out and screaming and banging behind windows, it's going to freak you out and be stressful. And it's stressful for our dogs too. And if you've already got a reactive dog, they're already anxious about the presence of other dogs. So you want to give them space away from these dogs that are being quite agonistic behind fences at them. So avoid houses that have got really bad lungy dogs, those houses that have got fences with the backyard adjoining the street. Try and avoid those houses. But if you have to go down them, start with the most distance that you can possible. And as soon as there's a bark, just pair reinforcement with it. What's that? Yeah, there's barking. Yes, here's some treats. Do a find it, throw some food in the grass, get them to look at you. Any other behaviours that they're fluent at, get them doing that behaviour for reinforcement. If it's an easy, low effort, high reward behaviour with a lot of distance. And then you're also going to get that classical conditioning come on board of dogs barking predict reinforcements on offer from my human for doing these other behaviours that are incompatible with reacting. So if you're holding on tight and charging past it, then it's a really stressful experience for both of you. So
it doesn't teach the dog anything either. So creating loads of distance beforehand will help you condition your dog that they don't need to be reactive. But also, like you said, knowing which house to avoid. Because there's houses around my area that I just choose not to walk past or across the road or whatnot. So and same with dogs. Like if there's a dog that I know that reacts, I'll avoid it at all costs because I don't want them to react to my dog. I don't want him to feel like he's threatened either.
It's not good for the dogs in the backyard if they're uncomfortable but I mean, the owners aren't going to do anything about it, but it's not good for them. So if you can avoid it, that's ideal.
Sorry, back to the grooming thing. Sandy says perhaps try with 2 people, 1 treats, 1 gently touches. So basically reward and try again slowly and always end on a positive note. That's a really good point. So don't just when the dog pulls away, finish the session instead once you've got a positive thing in with the dog, even if it wasn't what you wanted. As long as the dog's had a good time, then finish there. Coco the 2-year-old Chocolate Labrador just started barking randomly while inside and outside. I can't see the reason. I think it's an alert, but the reason isn't clear. She doesn't bark when someone knocks at the front door. Any suggestions how to address this? White sage your house. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't know why she's barking. Okay, well, that's the first problem. You need to figure out why she's barking. Is she just barking at nothing, or is there a noise or smell?
I think more dogs are barking now as well in ISO. To be honest, I'm seeing this as more of an issue. I know Bernadette, I know Coco from a while back with puppy school, and then more recently for a private. And if anyone notices something else that's interesting here is that age, 2-year-old, adulthood, showing potentially more assertive and territorial type behaviour. So as an adult, they will start showing a little bit more of that agonistic kind of behaviour, a bit more adulty of, yep, I'm going to let everyone know this is my house. So she could be just showing a little bit of there's potential threats out there and hearing noises and a bit more protective. But I am noticing that dogs are doing it more in ISO because I think they're sleeping less. They're a bit more unsettled. We're home and working from home. They're a little bit more on edge. There's a lot more movement outside. I had to mute myself because someone's banging things outside. People are home and making a lot of noises outside, whereas dogs would typically sleep during the day when not much is going on. But there's a lot more activity happening out there that might be putting her on edge. So
potentially protecting you now that you're home.
Yeah.
They might not bark when you're not there. And classic example being a dog walker going into people's homes when they're not home, the dog reacts differently. Sometimes if you usually tell when if Barney's mum's watching, you usually tell when Barney's mum's home because he's whoa, 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 whoa. But if she's not home and I open the door and I go in, he's laying on the bed like, what am I supposed to do? Completely different behaviour. And she doesn't believe that he doesn't bark. And, he's obviously barking to protect her. So,
and they feel a lot more confident when they're with their owner. I've got this safety of my owner being home, so I'm all tough. Whereas when you're not there, they might not have that same sense of safety and confidence to be a bit more assertive and protective. So, I mean, we can't exactly know what they're thinking, but we know that, they will feel more safe to react when you're around, or it could be that they're protecting you a little bit more. That confidence is out there. So, I mean, the way you're going to treat it is the same, giving them other things to do, like other jobs to do when you're home. So lots of enrichment stuff so they're not on edge, but also having a really rock solid recall. So if they do kick off barking, that you can recall them out of it, redirect it to something else, go to a mat, lay down, give them a treat. When you hear a sound outside, leave it, or, get them to orient away from it, yes, and reinforce and give them some long-lasting enrichment to do. But you definitely want to interrupt it because the more they do it, the more reinforced they are by it. So interrupt it as soon as you can. Have a really good rock-solid recall. You can recall away and maybe put them in a quieter area, put some white noise on in the background, give them enrichment, and keep reinforcing them not reacting.
Don't know on this one. I've heard something too, but controversial. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that garlic is not good for dogs as well, but you do hear a lot of these sort of different, old wives' tales or home remedies for things. I'm a bit nervous of it because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. And things like heartworm, there's a higher risk if it doesn't work, and they do have heartworm.
Yeah.
And I think garlic's supposed to make dogs sick, so might need to do some more research, Oliver. I don't know.
I'd get in touch with a vet. That's probably the best thing, or a pet nutritionist, which there are around. So get in touch with someone in the know. We're dog trainers. Can't help with medical stuff, unfortunately.
No.
Can certainly pick things up, but can't help it. Hi, Jessica. Funny, I actually got a call from your neighbour today about the dog barking, and now your dog's digging. So that's interesting. So 9-month-old Kelpie, I think his name is, can't think, Spike, is digging holes in the backyard. Any suggestions on how to stop this when I do catch him in the act? So he's probably going through that turning into a adolescent phase as well. He obviously likes to dig, because I know that you said that he'd done that as a puppy anyway, like he was always out there doing something. So teaching him where to dig is your first management strategy. So getting him something to dig in with a different surface. He's probably digging for something, or digging to go into a hole to get cooler, or as a Kelpie, yeah, he's got to have jobs to do. He's got lots going on in his little brain. If he's in a little yard, then he needs lots to enrich him. So loads of food dispensing toys, lots of find it games in the yard, in the spot that you do want him to dig in. I wouldn't take it away from him completely. If he's digging in the wrong spot, you could either confine the spot, so not allow him to get to them to dig inside them, and he'll eventually learn that he's not to go there and dig it as he becomes more of an adult, but he's probably just testing the boundaries as well at the moment. Yeah, so getting a clamshell pool or something similar, putting it with some sand, big bag with sand from Bunnings, and tossing loads of treats in there. He had a spot and now has made a new one in the no-go zone. Yeah, so no-go zone, maybe put a chair over top of it or something to stop him from getting to it, and then just encourage him to get back in the go zone, so then he's learning where he needs to go. Anything to say on that, Laura?
No, I hear a lot of Kelpies digging. They tend to love going in the grass as well, digging up and ripping up the grass a lot. But it's one of those things where they're just a really, really smart dog and they need a job to do. And I guess you don't want it to turn into any kind of compulsive behaviour too. Just make sure that there's no shadow chasing or light chasing underlying it. If they can be digging into the ground, that they're not actually compulsively chasing shadows or lights, and that it is actually just digging like a foraging kind of behaviour. But yeah, I get exercise, enrichment, giving an outlet area where they can do it, reinforcement for digging there. You probably want to limit punishment as much as you can, because it can make them a little bit more stressy and anxious, and which could make it worse if they're thinking, oh, when you come out, I'm gonna get told off. So lots and lots of jobs to do. I like hangy toys for Kelpies. They tend to love leaping up and chasing, so even some hanging toys, like some bottles hang. If you've got like any horizontal beams on a patio kind of area, can be really good. Lots of things to occupy themselves in the backyard, and block off any areas you don't want them to dig in, any places with fertilizer. And
the Aussie dog gear is super solid, and you can hang it on, or tie it to a tree or fence or something like that. So although Spike's pretty high energy and it rattles around, so it's quite noisy. They're quite a good brand of toy as well. I think this is the last thing that actually Laura said, because I said, what are we going to talk about today? And I thought this was a really important one. And we did cover it briefly over an older dog, but with puppies especially. I thought we'd just finish off on this one, if that's okay with you. Or we've got dogs playing too rough as well. And then
that's what we've talked about that a bit. And I think Sandy was just after some enrichment games as well, as a comment that I've got coming up online that we can quickly address. But Sandy, I'd highly recommend going. There's some really good Facebook pages, Canine Enrichment. Facebook pages that highly recommend jumping onto, because there's always people putting brilliant enrichment ideas up there. So try and jump on some Facebook groups and just have a look at what people are doing. There's some amazingly inventive enrichment ideas. So, I mean, I could go on for hours about enrichment, to be honest. But I think rather than bore you all doing that, jump online on the Facebook groups.
Basically go through your recycle bin and find ways to stuff them and put things inside so that dogs get busy. So things like tissue boxes, or toilet rolls, or handy towel rolls, cereal boxes, all those kinds of things you can use for enrichment games and toys. You can also start doing some scent work with your dog. Labradors love looking for things. I think you said you had a Labrador, didn't you?
You've got a Labrador already.
Okay, yeah. So loads and loads of scent stuff. even like I just got a heap of boxes because I just ordered a labeler. So boxes like this kind of stuff, use it for, it's kind of hard to get into because it's got heaps of different bits. But it keeps the dogs engaged. They'll have to get down on their paws into a drop, and then they'll have to rip it apart and use their teeth and stuff like that. So, and when I say games, it's not about like playing. It's about teaching them how to use their brain. You can actually buy like, just for example, because I've got it handy, this kind of stuff where you could do this with a tissue box. You could put little holes in the top of it and seal it the middle bit up, and then the dog has to toss it around, rip it up, try and get the bits out. I guess the biggest thing with enrichment games that people make a mistake is they make it too hard too soon. So when they get a Kong, they'll go, oh, I know what to do. We put peanut butter in it. So they smear peanut butter right up in here and right up in here, and they give it to the dog, and the dog goes, well, how am I going to get that out? Like, not even that exciting. I don't really even want it. So when you get something like this, you want to get some treats that are really easy to get out. So grab a handful of whatever you've got at home, even their dry food. So when I'm introducing something new, make sure it can break up really small. So like a chicken breast or something, and you just drop it in there. And then you show your dog how to use their Kongs and how to get the food out. And then the next time that you use it, they go, oh, I remember, Mum showed me how to do it that time. But even this, like this kind of packaging, you could scrunch it all up with food and treats inside it. It takes the dog ages to get it out, lifting it up. It's a fun. Might be a bit of mess to clean up, but hey, it's better than chewing the couch or digging a hole. Much rather my dogs rip that up and have to go and pick it up the next day. So.
And enrichment is just an umbrella term for enriching your dog's mind. So it's not just food-based games. It can be play. It can be going for a walk. It can be doing training sessions. So I think mix it up. And then your food-based toys, I like to try and encourage mixing it up too. So some might be more chewy, some might be more licky, some might be more snuffly, some might be more foragey where they've got to dig in a box. Some might be that you hide food in the yard and they've got to use their nose to find it, like nose work. So try and stimulate different systems in your dog's brain, mix it up what it is, and rotate it throughout the week. Do some different activities. Yesterday I did about 5 rounds of nose works with each of my guys in the backyard, and today we've done more training videos and stuff. So you mix it up, different kinds of activities. Don't just always do the same thing. You bowl of food and go to the oval with your ball thrower for an hour and then put food in a bowl. Think outside the square of how you can stimulate your dog's mind in different ways based on what your dog's breed is and what they like doing. Observe their behaviour, what makes them happy.
Yeah, and look, we all have off days as well. I think it's important to remember that dogs always, they're not always the same every day. We always have off days and good days, off days, on days, and some dogs do too. So,
yeah.
All right, I better go and get my kids dinner at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Friday. You up to much for the weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
No, just got a few Zoom consults.
Another day in ISO.
Another day in ISO, do some homework. That's all. Can do training videos and stuff. If anyone's got some things they want to see, keep my training brain active, feel free to.
I did see Benny opening the fridge. It was really cute.
I took the tug off so that I did want him to do a nose target on the door instead, but he didn't. He wasn't sure about banging his nose onto the fridge door, so he ended up doing paws. So that was a very messy, incomplete training demo because having his paws scratching the fridge is not great. And there's a lot of
sticky note or something like that, sheet of paper.
Yeah, I might, have a go at getting him to target onto a piece of paper, like a Post-it, and then stick the Post-it onto the fridge. So I was just playing around with it. It was just one of those enrichment moments where I'm like, I need to do something different with him.
Yeah, what are we
and doing that.
What are we going to do today? Yeah, I got Bert to open the fridge and get a can out. I didn't get him to open it, though. That was too hard.
They need a posable thumb for that.
He loved closing the door. That was his favourite thing to do. And Ali actually used to bring a bell to go outside the door. I found that really helpful with toilet training the puppy because we didn't have a dog door. And, she would ding the bell to go outside. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have a lot of clients that want their dogs to do that, to nudge a little bell hanging over the door handle, or to ring like with paw target a little, like those little reception bells, to let them know that they need to go out. If they don't have a dog door or don't want a dog door, really useful. And you use your target training, your paw shake or your nose target to shape it. Philippa's asked for some tricks. Any particular tricks, Philippa, so that I can, you've had a go at teaching Lolly middle, but yeah, if there's any tricks that people want to learn, I love doing trick stuff. So I'm happy to do some videos while I'm in ISO, because I know once lockdown ends, it's going to be crazy.
You know what's actually quite a good trick to learn in ISO, just in case anyone gets like a runny nose, is a chew. Get a tissue out of the box.
Ah, yeah, that's a cute trick. Get them to retrieve a tissue. Yeah. Lots of tricks.
Yeah. Ellie loves that one, but she ends up ripping the whole box apart.
Yeah, Benny would shred the tissues, I reckon. At this stage, he's too young for that. He would love to shred it. But, yeah, all the other stuff. Any tricks. Okay. I'll do some tricks videos and upload them so people can have some fun doing that. And it's, good bonding with you. It's good fun. All right, I'll let you go.
All right, have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Ernie, going to get up or not? He's just like,
Benny's just on the couch watching. I think he heard bye. He knows it's dinner time when he hears bye. So,
all right. See ya.
Have a good weekend, everyone. Talk to you soon. See ya.
Head over to our pages and like our pages and let your friends know that we're here once a week.
Yeah.
Cool.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.